Thanks for your company. In our very first story, the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital sits at the heart of a city but can boast of nothing. The facility's proximity to the sea is causing the hospital a lot of nightmares. A visit by Joy News reveals doctors and nurses working in one of the most deplorable facilities in the country. Beyond the damage the hospital suffers at the hands of the sea, nurses and other health officials are constantly attacked by armed robbers when they close from work because of malfunctioned street lights and the ineffective security system at the hospital. Richard Kojonyako has more on Joy News Agenda today.
This is the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital. It is one of the oldest hospitals in the central region. Hitherto, this hospital served the entire Cape Coast metropolis and even the commander Edna Egwafo-Ebrim municipality. The adventures of the sea near the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital has caused and is still causing incalculable losses and damages as far as the activities of the hospital are concerned.
The nearness of the sea to the hospital will have a negative effect on us because of the salt production for the sea and the wind and all that. This hospital was founded in the early 1940s, and the sea has been a major enemy to it. In 1998, a new hospital was constructed for the same reasons at Abra. And then the original hospital then, which was here, was transferred to Abra. And then this hospital was, reduced its status to a district hospital. Most of the facilities, most of the human resources taken to Abra. And then we realized that most of the structures were in a very bad state because of the sea, corrosion and other things. So we had to spend a lot of money repairing the structures, almost over 300,000 cedis at the OPD, replacing air conditioners, replacing chairs. All those chairs you see there are all new chairs, but if you go there today, you can see the effect of the sea on them.
Dr. D.G. Demenya is a medical superintendent of the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital. He appears devastated about the impact the sea has had on the equipment and facilities at the hospital.
That's the same way it affects other equipment. Air conditioners are broken down. If you go to the consulting room, most of them don't have air conditioners working. You want to replace them. But nobody supply you air conditioner because you are owing them for what you've already bought before. Do you get the point? Even the burglar proves that we fix every now and then. Go there now and see it. The colors have changed because of the salt. The roofs are coming off because of is it corrosion or whatever it is? Take a trip to the theater. The roofs are coming off because the nails have got corroded. They're all coming off.
His colleague, Dr. Justice Atta, is equally distraught. He sits in a consulting room that has its roof leaking terribly when it rains. Cracks are seen in the consulting room where he sits attending to patients. The lack of resources to use as a medical officer pains him terribly.
This building has been in existence since I was a kid. We are very close to the sea, so the sea affects the structures, the equipment. Most of our equipment are broken down. The few you get to work with breaks down in a short time because of closeness to the sea. Formerly, there was donor pool fund, there was air fees and there were other things. All these things are not coming. So for quality, there should be input. Input is give us the resources to work. Patients who come here, we may have to send them out to take X-ray because the building hosting the X-ray machine is almost collapsing. The machine is old, we don't have. So if you come here with a fracture or injury, we think you have to take X-ray, we have to send you to University Hospital or the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital.
There is a huge challenge that puts some fear and apprehension in the nurses, patients and other paramedics, apart from the infrastructure challenge they have had to grapple with.
It is very difficult. It's very difficult when it comes to you meeting the condition, knowing what to do and not having what to use to attack the condition on your hands. It's very bad and it can be very demoralizing because you want to help. You have the knowledge to help, but the resources not being there makes it just difficult. Some come dressed up like normal people, but they end up attacking us from time to time. You close from work in the evening, you are afraid to even go to the roadside because sometimes before you even get to the roadside, someone is attacking. We've had several attacks of staff within and along the hospital. Myself, I've been a victim some time ago. On this stretch where the street lights were not there, I closed one evening and someone attacked me, tried to stab me, and then I had to leave everything for the person.
The challenge is not only limited to the OPD. The maternity block leaks profusely whenever it rains. The doctors and nurses in charge of this block say the state of the facility needs a total overhauling, lest the fight against maternal and infant mortality will just be a mirage. Dr. Justice Asari Ampoma and Florence Kwenu are in charge of the block.
We have something called the sonic aid that the midwives need to listen to the fetal hearts. Seriously speaking, we don't have none, so it's a challenge. So we use the peanut stethoscope. I don't know, we don't have one here, but that one it's been long that you have been using, and we have only one at the moment. So you can imagine if something happens and we have like 5 deliveries at a time, so that means you have to wait to move from one client to another.
We have problem with the roofing. When it rains, the whole place becomes flooded, and if a midwife is not careful, she will slip and someone's baby will fall down.
The maternity block is inundated with mice. These mice share a greater part of the ward with pregnant women and the midwives that attend to them. Recently, a snake emerged at the block that saw nurses and pregnant women running for their lives.
You see, maternity, we have some holes around we have holes here. So they actually pass through the holes and come to the ward. So for sure we have been encountering mouse and sometimes snakes coming to the ward, and you see, it's not the best.
Pregnant women who go to the hospital do not feel comfortable and are unable to sleep throughout the night because they would have to battle with mosquitoes. They pray endlessly for them to be discharged very early in order to escape the torture of mosquitoes and the scary moment with big rats that compete with them at the hospital. The theater of the hospital is no better. The doctors and anesthetists have to decide who to operate upon first because there is no light fixed to the 2 theaters of the hospital. They can only boast of one mobile light.
These electrical and theater gadgets, you don't really expect to be moving them. They are supposed to be stable. They are supposed to be stationary for it to function properly. So it's not really helping us. And then, worst of all, should we have more than a case at a time, 2 emergencies at a time, then it becomes a priority of choosing between which one to save. In that instance, we tend to become mini gods to decide who stays alive and then who dies, and it's not pleasant.
The Metro Hospital appears neglected as no help comes to them to deal with the numerous challenges. The busload of concerns of the staff represent just a little fraction of their challenges. The other departments of the hospital are worse off.
From the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital, my name is Richard Kwejunyakon for Joy News.
Really disturbing report from the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital. Let's bring you details of other stories. Members of the Concerned Drivers Association on Wednesday, October 4, stormed the premises of the Multimedia Group at Kokomlimle to demand government reduces fuel prices. The drivers, who were clad in red armbands, singing and chanting slogans, say they voted for the Akufo-Addo-led government because they promised to reduce fuel prices. However, they feel betrayed. Secretary of the group, Mohammed Mamboni, spoke on their behalf.
When then government was on power, the fuel was 14 cedi. Now how come this government is on power? Then he has already promised us that he is coming so that our work will be easy for us, for the fuel will come down. Why should we buy for more than 22 cedi? It's cheating. The government is cheating us. We are working and the profit is going to the government. When you look at the fuel price now, the taxes are close to 50%, 49%. Why should we be working and paying taxes close to 49%? So we are telling the government to reduce the fuel price for us, as he promised. Because when it was 14 cedi, he promised us that he's going to reduce it. So if he's going to reduce it and he has not reduced it, then he should rather bring it to 14 for us. So the fuel increase or the world market crude price should not affect we drivers, because the government is also making promise. Somewhere last week we sent a letter to the Flagstaff House, and so last Friday they called us and we went there. And you know what's surprising? They only decreased petrol 1.6% and rather increased diesel 1.5%. Is it not cheating?
According to them, their leaders in collaboration with government have refused to allow them increase prices of transportation, making them operate at a loss. They are therefore giving government a 3-day ultimatum to reduce fuel prices, else they'll picket the Energy Ministry come Monday, October 9.
Bachejak was telling us the government can do nothing about, they can do nothing to reduce the fuel price. So, and we are going to increase our fares. The leaders are saying we shouldn't increase our fare. It's total cheating. So we are telling the government to reduce the fuel price for us. If it's not going to sell it for 14 cedi, or it's not going to bring it down for us, then next week, by Friday, we are giving him by Friday, we want to hear from him. Or else, we are going to the ministries to sleep there, because they made a promise they are going to reduce the fuel price for us. And the fuel price is not affecting us alone, but rather affecting all Ghanaians.
Other drivers and motorists also shared their disappointment and described government's decision as pocket galamsey.
And the union leaders have sat down and make some policy that when the government increase the fuel up to 10%, that one, you have the right to increase the fare. Now the government is using some strategy to steer us. You increase the fare to 8%, meaning that it's not up to 10%, so you cannot increase it. And over there you see that the government will reduce it to 1%, just 1% from the 8%. And later when you come out to increase it to maybe 9%, yes, still it's not up to the 10%. Now when you add up, when you pile it, it's almost 30%. But because he has not been able to increase, because he uses a strategy to cheat us, so he's just using that tricks that that is not up to 10%, so you cannot increase it. And that's the contract that is signed with our leaders.
Nana do free a trotro no se media for mu and o catch us a John Mama Timording 14 cedi 30 pesos. Obo bete so just wo to garam say we bottom. Wo poya krono kase pa. Udi wa wonti ase. Me ba che wo. Ntin sa se bo na Nana do o catch ya and count the Flagstaff House. 9th September, Copec True Drivers Union concern wisdom for Akabo ma yero dankana mu ade animu e de koma no. On the 2nd October, Monday, Office of President Frey, Mekaubi, Dankanamu and the Dianimu, Yakwayano, Amazon by Patronubi, Bimini, my Pamati 50 pesos every petrol, so only 70 pesos. I got to do so. On Galam say no.
Thank you for staying here on Joe News today. Now, former Roads and Highways Minister Osei Tweretwie has accused the current government of peddling lies in relation to whether or not there was money available in the road fund when they took over the reins of power. Mr. Osei Tweretwie claims that they left as much as 600 million Ghana cedis in the road fund. However, Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways Anthony Cabo disagrees and claims that because of the depleted road fund, they cannot maintain many roads in the country. I've got the acting president of the Contractors Association here with me, of the Progressive Road Contractors Association, Mr. Hamon Labi, and he's here because they have a response to the claim by the former Minister for Roads and Highways. Thank you, sir, for joining us here. Now, when he was addressing what he calls lies by this current government, Mr. Osei Tweretwie also claimed that apart from leaving as much as 600 million Ghana cedis in the road fund, they had also settled contractors they engaged in the administration. You say that is not true.
It's not true. That is not true. Absolutely lies. Absolutely lies. He did not pay the contractors. He was paying October, and then the October money got locked up because he had gone to borrow money from the. How can you We were getting, let me explain something to you from the beginning. Well, we were getting under 300 million annually for road maintenance in this country. Then, because the contractor association had to, lobby the former president. 1st January, the fuel levy was done. And that means now from 300 million, we jumped to 1.2 billion. So if at that time, contractors were owned just around 200 million, how can that we have 1.2 billion and we couldn't pay the contractors? You went and borrow money from UBA. Yeah, you borrow money from UBA. And where did the money go? You have to explain to her where the money, the 1.2 billion went to. Then you went again to borrow another 100 million without going through the board. The road fund board did not approve of the 100 million that you took. Where the money go to? You pay 91 million as mobilization money to Gavao, the contractors who did the second internship. When contractors have worked and they've not been paid, you have the gap to pay 91 million Ghana cedis and mobilization.
Okay, Mr. Hammond would have to rest there because Mr. Nusa Fuseni will not be able to respond to all those allegations now. But let's talk about your personal experience as regards being paid or not. Do you have any project you worked on with the previous government?
Yes, of course, yes.
Which one?
Oh, I have one in Cape Coast, and I have Dance Anthem project, and I have Otuam projects.
Otuam?
Yes.
In the central region.
The central region.
And you were not paid for these jobs that you did?
Yeah, we know. Well, the other one had been paid. It was paid in, I think in June. That's, which one is it?
June this year or last year?
That's a reselling project that I did in Cape Coast.
Was it June this year or last year?
June this year.
So this government paid?
Yeah, this government paid.
So I'm asking because you are...
It took almost 2 years for me to be paid. And let me tell you something. The amount was 458,000. If you take the tax of 20-something thousand out, we had the 438,000 left on that project. The money that came to me, because the bank took all the money, was 35,000. The money that came to me was 35,000 because the bank took all the money. Because if you don't pay the contractors, what happens is the bank takes the money. Now, then the contractor had to go back to charge the government for this interest on delay payment. And this is eating into this. So if you had the money, why didn't you pay the contractors? The money was with the 1.2 million.
1.2 billion that went from UBA.
Who did you pay the money to? We want to know. We want to know. The association is calling the road fund to come and brief us on how that money was used. Because contractors never benefited from that money. You have 1.2 billion, which was the money that was borrowed from the UBA, and you have another 1.2 billion that came in as what is it called? As a revenue. You see, as revenue to road fund. So we want to know, where did the money go to?
So right now, what exactly is your position on this matter? Because the current government says we don't have any money in the road fund.
That is true.
And the former Minister of Roads and Highways, Nusa Fuseni, comes out to say that's not true, that's a lie. I left you as much as 600 million Ghana cedis.
That. Nusa Fuseni have to come clear.
Are you privy to how much was in the road fund as at the time that the NDC was leaving office?
If he had enough money in the road fund, how can that in October, the monies that they paid to contractors were locked up at the UBA. The money wasn't released to them. If you have enough money there, you didn't have enough money there. If you didn't have enough money, and how can that you go out and make this thing? You took this 1.2 billion. You paid mobilization to other contractors. Engineers and planners have 33 million Ghana cedis as mobilization. Meanwhile, contractors are not being paid. Contractors are at work, and they were losing their houses, their properties.
So, Mr. Labi, how many contractors in your association were affected by this lockup you refer to in October?
All the contractors, I would say we have all the contractors, most of the contractors in this country. I would say about 90% of contractors in this country are affected.
And that includes those who are not even part of your association,
yes,
is that it?
Yes, that even includes those who are not part of our association.
So, I mean, right now, this controversy that's building, what's your stake in it? What exactly do you want?
We want him to come and tell us the truth.
But have you been paid your monies?
We've not been paid. I had some money paid. I have other money that I have not been paid. Okay, I have works that are done that this in the what's called certificate is being prepared on at the moment. But we have a lot of contractors who also not been paid, and they are so. Look, if you go to contractor site, the contractors are left sites because they're not being paid. They don't have money to work. So when people cry, my road, there's no money. There's no money to pay. And that is the truth. There's no money. So it's going to tell the public, throwing dust into the public eyes, that you have paid 600 million into the district. Look, I am one person who should support Inus Afuseni. But if I come out, because I was his former ministerial advisor, so if I come out to say that what he's saying is not true, then you know what I'm talking about. You did not pay us. The money that we had before, the 1.2 billion that we were getting before, there was no need for you to go and borrow money from UBA because the contractor, the arrears was just around 200,000. So we could have paid the 200,000. A contractor works, and within 3-4 months we could have been able to pay the contractors. But you did not do that.
And you say that you were ministerial advisor to him at the time.
Yes, to the ministry.
To the ministry at the time.
Yes.
So while all this was going on,
behind our backs, the 100 million was even borrowed behind the back of the road fund board. The road fund board did not know anything about the 100 million. It was after the 100 million had been borrowed from UBA that it came out.
And this 100 million you claim was borrowed is different from the 1.2 billion.
Yeah, it's different from 1.2 billion. Out of the 100 million, he paid 91 million as mobilization to Gavao on the Boga Boko Road. Yes, on the Boga Boko Road. And the Salaga and others in 33 million for the 1.2 billion was paid to engineers and planners.
So now all you're asking for is for him to come out and, according to you, speak the truth.
Yes, and apologize.
That's all you want now?
Exactly.
Okay.
He should come and tell the truth and apologize. We as an association, think he messed up the road fund. As an association, that's what we think.
So you're accusing the former minister of messing up the road fund, and you agree with the current minister and his deputy that there's no money in the road fund.
There's no money in the road fund.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us here. Hammond Labi is Vice President of the Progressive Road Contractors Association, and he is claiming that former Minister of Roads and Highways, Inus Afuseni, messed up the road fund, and among other things, he alleges that he did a lot of deals behind the road fund board, and obviously at the time he was the ministerial advisor of the Progressive Road Contractors.
Ministerial advisor
to the
Minister of Roads and
Highways. Minister of Roads and Highways, but you were doing that on behalf of the roads of the Progressive Road Contractors Association, of all contractors in Ghana. All right, thank you for that clarification. So we'll be bringing you more on this pretty controversial one there, but stay with us here on Joy News for updates on this particular matter. Thank you once again for joining us, Mr. Hammond Labi. Now, the coalition of stakeholders on ECG privatization, COSICA, says the best solution to the current impasse between government and workers of ECG is to allow the workers to have a stake in the new concessionaire. Government has already announced that 51% of the new entity will be owned by Ghanaians. The coalition believes this avenue provides an opportunity for workers to own a part of the company, thereby quelling the matter of severance packages. Member of the coalition, Richard Nyama, made this known on Newsdesk earlier today.
We have a 10 joint venture where the workers are allowed to be part of the ECG. The laws naturally are circumvented. The labor law 65 that we are dancing this palogo around would be circumvented. Why? Because the workers become part of the new company. And for me, even for good corporate governance, if you are part of a trotro ownership, the likelihood is that if you are the driver, you'll be more careful than you just having it from somebody and driving and taking your share and giving his share to him. So if the workers want to be part of it, let them be part of it, buy into it, even if it is 1%. Then it means that for the 20 years, naturally, because they are part of the company, they are going to stay. Secondly, it means government doesn't have to go cost $350 million to pay redundancy. And I think when the minister made the pronouncement that they are prepared to negotiate individually with the workers and pay redundancy, he did not anticipate the situation where all the 6,500 workers will say that, okay, we are ready to take our redundancy. And then you are confronted with the problem of where to go get that money to pay them off. So we would use this opportunity to call the government and MIDA, MCC, workers in particular. We've been working with them behind the scenes trying to get this thing to stop. We want them to settle this issue out of court. It's not too late because the court process, like Austin Game said, would take years to resolve.
Well, Labour consultant Austin Game says the current impasse between government and workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana is because of government's failure to properly engage the workers who are demanding severance packages from their employers in a court suit. The workers were in court Tuesday to demand that they are paid off before the concession agreement comes into force. Austin Game, however, believes the parties will be able to reach an amicable solution if the matter is settled out of court.
Under our Labour Act, specifically Section 1054, if there is already an existing agreement between two parties, in this case between a union and management, which is exactly the case of UCT, whatever is in the agreement that inures to the benefit of the working people, we do not vary it per se, except you want to vary it for a better terms for them. But if it's to their disadvantage, then it becomes an unlawful thing. Two, it's also very important for us to appreciate the fact that when it comes to checking employment terms, it's about both employment and non-employment. So people who are already employed and maybe non-employment is about assisting them, they become apprehensive and worried about this kind of situation. Unfortunately, it does appear as if communication between the two parties might have broken down in one way or the other. Because if I listen to them carefully, they've written about 4 different letters, and their responses are either sketchy or non-existent. For that reason, I think that they get compelled. Maybe instead of branching to the National Labour Commission, they've decided to go to the Labour Court. Nothing wrong with that. But normally these cases will not be there for 5 days. It will not be 10 days. It will be a long-drawn type of thing. But I think that what I see wrong is the whole approach, is the inability of the employer, whether it is government as employer or the designated employer as UCT management team, to be able to engage the leadership of the workers, because it's not proper within the confines of our labor law and the collective agreement to engage the individuals in discussing what you want to describe as redundancy pay.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is moving from the Upper West to the Upper East region on his official tour of the 3 regions of the North. Albert Soria, manning the Upper East region, joins us with what to expect on the President's visit. Hello, Albert. Hi, Albert, can you hear me? Well, we seem to be having a challenge with that line there, but like I mentioned earlier, President Akufo-Addo is moving from the Upper West region to the Upper East region, and we're just reaching our man Albert Sori, who is there for us to find out what the President's visit is expected to bring to his region. Hello, Albert, can you hear me? All right, apologies for that. When we get Albert on a stable line, we'll bring you some updates on the President's tour of the 3 regions of the North. Now, the introduction of government's free senior high school policy comes with expanded access through increased enrollment. The accompanying pressure on limited infrastructure and facilities, however, is already taking a toll on students and authorities. Besides the outcry over inadequate boarding space, dining facilities are overstretched. compelling students to stand and eat in the open.
It's 12 p.m. Pantrymen arranged a familiar aluminium bowls. It contains supper for students of Osei Tweretwie Senior High School. Students are expected at the table in the next 40 minutes. They know without prompting when tables are set. This afternoon they will eat the popular gab beans, a mix of gari and beans. Students, especially males, aren't bothered to stand for lunch in a 30-year-old abandoned and deteriorating dining hall. Just a few meters in front of the girls' dormitory is another makeshift dining hall. In the scorching sun, they stand and eat. Never mind the discomfort. Some students are compelled by the unbearable heat to carry the food to the dormitory in breach of school regulations.
When it is raining, we have to hurry up and send the food to a place where we can eat. And sometimes we don't get to class early to eat, to learn, and that is also affecting our academics.
The free senior high school policy rolled out by government just weeks ago provides for day students to enjoy one free hot meal a day. Space and furniture are simply inadequate to accommodate the numbers. Mary Cromwell also is headmistress.
We have to go to the dining hall in batches.
Meanwhile, this 3-decade-old structure can only boast of multicolored dry lines adorning its frame. On a familiarization tour of the constituency, Member of Parliament for Tafu Pankrono visited the school. Dr. Anthony Akotose, who is also Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, is full of praise for government for free senior high school.
You are lucky. You have an opportunity to get free SHS. Notice my choice of words. I say you are lucky. You have an opportunity to enjoy free SHS.
These students, however, would wish to enjoy it in a more cozy environment. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Let's go back to the Upper East region. Our man on the ground, Albert Sorry, we've been able to get stable connection with him now. The president is expected there as part of his tour of the 3 regions of the north. Hello, Albert, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great to have you. What time is the president expected in the Upper East region, and what is he expected to do?
Yes, so he's expected to arrive any moment from now, and he will first meet with the Upper East Regional Minister at the Regional Coordinating Council, and later he will address a number of chiefs at the Ramsey Park here in Bolgatanga from 2:30 p.m. onwards. After that, he is expected to visit the regional hospital here in Bolgatanga. The expectation is that he will inspect the hospital and also speak to us from there. That will wrap up activities for today. Tomorrow, he is expected to inspect the Via Dam in the Bongo district. That is the dam that supplies water to Bolgatanga and other places. He will proceed from there to the Boko areas, where he is also expected to inspect ongoing work at on the Bolga-Boko road. He will proceed to Garu from there to inspect the Tamini Dam, and that should wrap up activities for tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Albert Sorry, bringing us an update on what to expect of the president's visit to the Upper East region as part of a one-week tour to the 3 regions of the north. We'll bring you more updates when they're available here on Joy News. Now, it's a very common practice to see most parents having a conversation with their children in English at the expense of their mother tongue. Research has shown that as a child grows, his language acquisition develops, and through language, the child gains personal experience which conveys cultural values. Nonetheless, the fluency of a child in their mother tongue is likely to improve academic performance and cognitive development.
Talk to a man in a language he understands. You speak to his head. But if you talk to him in his language, that goes to the heart. Language is the most effective tool for preserving and developing our tangible and intangible heritage. It is by far man's most important asset, through which he can study and understand the values and concerns of the society. On this program, I want to take a critical look at the state of Ghanaian languages and a growing phenomenon where people feel shy to speak in their mother tongue. Yet, parents are proud to communicate with their own children in English. Atta is the third born of a family of 4. They live in a compound house in Newtown. He's a pupil of the Newtown Experimental School. His mother speaks to him in Chi and allows him to speak English only in school.
When I go home, the language I speak with my family is Akam. When I come to school, the language I speak is English. I speak it fluently, and when my friends speak it, I understand it very well.
Bacha is also a pupil of Newtown Experimental School. His father is of conviction that speaking to his son in English will help him gain fluency in English language.
I said to him, I said, no, let me start with them that way, so that at least they should pick up very well at school. With me, I know that with English, when you know it, you will be well able to understand anything that will be taught at school, and then you can do much more. You can excel.
Only English I was taught at home and in school, so I can't spend time to speak. At home, my parents don't want me to speak any language. Sometimes if they hear me speaking Cree, then they will say I should stop speaking Cree and learn English.
I get angry anytime I see parents speak English to their children.
Mrs. Abigail Opoku-Ajiman teaches both Bacha and Atta.
When we are having our local language section center, it becomes difficult for Gideon to understand because he is more fluent in the L2, which is the English language, than the L1. So we need to translate the L2 into L1 for him to understand that this is what the madam is talking about. This is what we are trying to get before you be able to apply it in his studies.
Some experts are of the view that the trend of speaking English at the expense of our local language is deeply rooted in the African who has no pride in what his true nature is.
English was seen as a language of the lowest class. You can't do education in English. But now look at the situation. So our question to ourselves needs to be, at what point in time do we develop that type of idea of let's do things in our own indigenous languages?
There is a bit of us, our culture and who we are, that is carried through our languages. And so when one loses the language, one loses the culture, one loses a part of them. They can't relate to the culture in which they are embedded. And so they become dysfunctional in some sense.
Really interesting report put together by Forgiver Medica. And now authorities at the Oblogo cluster of schools have renewed their calls for the erection of a crash barrier by the main road running past the school to avert what they believe is a disaster waiting to happen. Their latest call follows a near-fatal accident last Thursday when a Kia truck plowed into the school compound after the driver lost control of the vehicle. Though there was no casualty, the school authorities fear they may not be so lucky next time. Joy News' Zarina Amandi has been to the school and reports.
I'm at the Oblogo cluster of schools located in the Wejagbawe constituency, and a near fatal incident happened. Now the school is located directly opposite a hill, and some of the vehicles coming down that road in some cases veer off because they lose control and come right into the school. Some of the children were on the playground, but fortunately none of them is hurt. One of such vehicles came down this road and veered off, and you can see the tracks right here. and it went down to the playground where some of the kids were playing. Directly to that area, if you can see where that vehicle is, that's where it ended. Fortunately, none of the students is wounded, and even though the authorities declined to speak on the matter, they are concerned that this is the third time that is happening this year. Some of the pupils who witnessed the incidents narrated their experiences to the news team.
They said we should go for breakover. So the time we was this, so like as when they ring the bell, still they're playing. So we don't like remember the bell crash. So we was just playing. Our teacher was making a call here. Then he said, all of us should run. Now you can. Our teacher was running. Then the time we saw now the car was from this hill was coming. And then the braked here. And it came and passed here.
I see the car in the top there, said he's coming. Then it was come speed, and so they braked here. Then it was passed here. Then she turned the steer. Then the car go like this. Then it threw itself. Then it come to fall down.
One of the pupils suggests a solution to the problem.
Maybe to do a wall or something so that when the car is coming, it can come and block it so that anything will not affect us.
When Joy News visited the Gas South Municipal Education Office, officials present were hesitant to speak on the matter, even though they expressed worry about the frequent accidents on the school compound. Some of them, however, mentioned that their efforts in prompting action to protect the children have yielded no results. Zarina Mandi for Joy News.
Well, we finally had someone who was willing to speak on this matter. Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service in the Gas South Municipality, Seth Apreku Dankwa, says the municipal authorities have initiated action to construct a barricade at the Oblogo cluster of schools. Like we mentioned last Thursday, a Kia truck plowed into the school compound after the driver lost control of the vehicle. This is the fifth of such incidents in recent times. Now, though Mr. Dankwa expressed alarm at the incident, he said the Education Service is powerless in remedying the situation. You're watching Joy News today. Don't forget to keep the date 6th of October locked in your diary, because that's the day for Dome Praise happening at the Perez Dome. We will all be there to lift up our hands in worship. And that's how we end this edition of Joy News today. My name is Bernice Abubeidu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com.